Yo! Detective Conan, the second most sold shonen manga ever, which even has its town in Japan, and its main character's statue was even put besides the Sherlock Holmes statue in London on Conan's birthday. And yeah, this manga stands as the only competition to One Piece. All this whilst being heavily underrated globally and being only popular in Japan. To be honest, Gosho Aoyama, the mastermind behind this very manga, don't see their mangas as in a competition, and neither do Eiichiro Oda, mangaka of One Piece.
Young Oda did, but when he got older, he too stopped seeing it as that. Even though that's the case, when you really
look at the latest list of the most sold manga of all time, see Dormant followed by Golgo 13, both have a whopping 300 million copies sold. For reference, Harry Potter, probably the most mainstream fiction you know about, has sold just the double of theirs, at about 600 million.
Yeah, some Christians were even scared that it might come to a point at selling the Bible. So then you see
Detective Conan at about another whopping 270 million copies sold. So why are the other two not a competition for One Piece? Well, one is a seinen, another has stopped years ago, is also categorized in the children's manga. The only one left here is, well, Detective Conan!
Now you might be thinking, yay, cool, but it's nowhere near a competition. One Piece literally
has double of its sales with nearly the same amount of volumes. Well, don't worry, you haven't been clickbaited. Hear me out. One Piece is a global sensation, a story that spreads all wide throughout the globe, and so is Detective Conan, but it is very
underrated in comparison to OP, the only country where DC is most probably even more mainstream and popular than One Piece is Japan itself. Like it has a whole
town dedicated to it, and its franchise accounts to more than whopping $5 billion, whilst just being popular in Japan. The point is, if Detective Conan
was a global phenomenon like One Piece, its estimated amount of sales could go off the charts, about in between even 800 million to a billion. We already know the world loved mystery stories, not to mention
that Agatha Christie, a mystery writer, is the world's second most selling author of all time. Gosho Aoyama right now sits somewhere around 35. Oda is in the top 10. And let me tell you, even though the main character might look like a kid, he's not. He's actually a 17-year-old
who was forced to take a drug by two shady men, turning his body to that of a child, whilst keeping his brain as sharp as before. These shady men belongs to the BO, aka the Black Organization.
こいつを使おう。組織が新しく開発したこの毒薬をな。
生きてる。そうか。おや。
Organization that lures in the dark mystery and accounts of various politicians, actors, and different personalities secretly being its members, along with some completely hidden people, and those two shady men at start. Now Conan needs to expose this organization and get his big body back. Ooh, well, we went too off track. Anyways, my point is that it has some serious master-level storytelling, and yet it was never truly given much of a chance in other countries. When I went on YouTube, there wasn't a single consistent channel making quality videos on it, so that covers the reason for this channel. Well, that was in terms of sales. We can actually go further with this competition. Detective Conan's anime, kind of like how it does every other anime in Japan, on a weekly episode release. Even though One Piece and Detective Conan comes very close in episodes terms, Conan's movies drop every year, and it hits every single time to the point where Detective Conan Zero the Enforcer outsold Avengers Infinity War by almost more than triple of it in Japan in 2018. Its movies become one of the most, if not the most grossing movies of Japan nearly every year. If we talk about the animation, One Piece's start to get better way before, then Conan has DC is older. And even if, see now, One Piece way better flow in it, and also has better animation overall, but Detective Conan way too far from an action series, and hence its animation has nothing much to complain about either. It focuses more on character detail. Overall, One Piece is better in action and visuals, but Conan have better pacing and consistency. If we talk about only movies, DC does it better, no doubt.
Maybe the
In terms of length, Conan's anime is still longer, but despite starting 1 year before One Piece, One Piece's manga just took over with the chapters of Detective Conan by just 3 chapters. This was due to more breaks taken in making of Detective Conan. Well, I have no problems at all with that. That is the case. Next one is more important than these two, but is subjective as hell as well. It's in terms of story. See, personally, I like Detective Conan more. I mean, I like One Piece so much too that it's difficult to really decide. But hey, let me tell you, yes, Detective Conan has a lot of side stories, but when the climaxes come, it's all the more worth it. DC's climaxes are peak, literally, and I'm not even caught up yet. Yeah, actually, I am around 700 episodes deep in it, and I'm starting the manga too. With One Piece, though, with irregular shifts between the anime, the One Piece version, and the manga, I did actually caught up. But it's just that now, One Piece itself got away. Yeah. Have not read it for a little while now. I have thought to rewatch or reread it too, if I get time, but it's just so much.
And yay, you accept it or not. I know One Piece's foreshadowing is extraordinarily good, but Detective Conan's foreshadowing is like that level and hidden. Yep, it just sneaks up on you and hits even harder sometimes. The long-term planning of Detective Conan is good, but we all know, though, that One Piece is a continuous story in the manga, whereas Conan can have filler side quests anytime, even in the manga, giving it more time to work on the main story.
Well, I even saw a comment by somebody one time which was like, people say One Piece is so long and complex, and I say to them, Detective Conan is longer and even more complex. One Piece and Detective Conan are so different from each other that they really can't be compared story-wise, and both have goated stories. Detective Conan, though, even do have very well-written fillers because it follows a case formula or two which always work. Detective Conan is the first story I have seen which a story have 2 layers they work on, the main storyline and the current case. They both go on simultaneously many times, and when only the main storyline remains, you know it's going peak, and it gives a feeling of your occasional childhood anime that you used to watch as a child too, and all that at the same time as well.
It works as a great way to even get to know about various things, as Conan has a lot of knowledge in every subject to the point where the only thing that I've found till now that he had absolutely no knowledge about
is baseball. Gosho Aoyama even does his case tricks in manga practically in real life first to test them out himself, and somehow every time creates a new trick, and complex ones too. He even went to London one time for a case surrounding tennis in DC that also happens in London. DC have near to no fan service, which OP have some, which makes DC's experience even better. So now comes in terms of art, and not gonna lie, One Piece takes this one in dynamic art, but Detective Conan takes it with clean line work and realistic details. There are a lot less double spreads, and even single ones, and sometimes the text gets too much, but that's alright, as it is a detective series anyways. Detective Conan uses screen tones a lot better and more than One Piece does, and yes, art style character designs of both series are completely different. One Piece has got that goofy vibe going on with its designs. Conan goes with a rather realistic anatomy, but many times have repeated faces design, which differ a lot less. Such similarity is very rare in OP characters, at least in males, yeah, you know. Conan has a lot more use of black and darker tones compared to One Piece, and has a better contrast as the more and smart use of black even helped the mysterious vibe of DC going on. On cover and color pages, One Piece have a lot more of vibrant and detail, whereas DC's are more flowing and gives a slight cozy vibe in some with a glow. Detective Conan have volumes with real pictures in the background of landscapes and scenery, with always Conan in front, whereas One Piece has all of it drawn and uses many different characters on covers. Conan's covers are simple and clean, whereas One Piece has that Avengers Assemble vibe with its crowd covers. Other than that, the two series are really on very good terms with each other. They even collaborated. Yup, it's official, and both of them comes from different companies in the magazines of Weekly Shonen Jump and Weekly Shonen Sunday. So actually, this collab goes hard in all the ways. Followed by this came an interview between Oda and Aoyama. You can watch it full. I'll link in the description. It's only of 7 minutes. And other than that, yeah, I know it's shameless, but subscribe and become a member of the White Organism. Sorry. Video closed.